Hello everyone, and welcome back to day 10 of the Advent of Cyber 3 by TryHackMe. This challenge is all about networks and using Nmap, which is a very useful tool if you want to do pen testing, red teaming, or just overall general networking jobs. Nmap is basically what will let you map a network. We'll see more about that later on. So as always, I will go through the theory part quite fast, and then I will switch over to the practical aspects, and I will do it with you guys. So let's get started already with IP addresses. So IP addresses, in this case, most importantly, IP address, Internet Protocol version 4, is made up of 4 decimal numbers ranging from 0 to 255. Some of these ranges are for private addressing, and some of them are for public addressing. And I will put on screen right now which are the private ranges. Basically, the private ranges are not connected to the whole internet network. They are just basically used for internal uses. And for example, if you go look at this screen and you do, for example, IPA, well, you see that my at 0, so this machine that I have, this Kelly machine, is put in a NAT network on my host computer. So this machine is not directly connected to the internet, and it doesn't have a, it's inside my network on my computer. However, if I were to go, I'll put a screenshot right now on screen, and if I were to do the same thing on my Windows host, well, you'll see that my internal IP address is different than, like, the format is different than the one I have on my NAT network. And so, but these are both still private IP addresses, and I need to go through my router to have my public IP address, which I will not show you on screen right now, but I'll give you a link in the description below if you want to look at your public IP address. What does this all mean? Well, basically, this is kind of like your street address, right? If you have packets that needs to be delivered to your computer, well, they need to be going through the Internet Protocol, for example, and then they need to go to your address, right, and given to you. So that's how it works, basically. And I'm not the best one to explain to you how the internet works. That's a whole other subject for another video, or just somebody more experienced that could explain the concepts better than I can. So I won't dive too deep into that. So let's go straight into protocols and servers. So protocols, just a good example here. That's a human level protocol when you order an espresso. So you go to the server, you're like, hello, then the server is hello, you make your order, they ask you for the price, you pay the price, they give you what you ordered, and then you say thank you. So that's a human protocol. Computers have kind of the same way to communicate. For example, you may have heard about the TCP three-way handshake, which goes like this. So the client goes SYN, the server is like SYNAC, so it will do the SYN and also acknowledge that it's there, it exists, and then the client will complete the three-way handshake by saying ACK for acknowledge. I'll put a screenshot on screen right now with the source, and that's basically how TCP connection works. And there's different ways with different protocols how this all works. And I will let you read the document for yourself, and let's go straight into ports. I won't dive too deep into that. You can see the most common ports here. So HTTP on 80, HTTPS port 443, POP3, which is for receiving mail. For delivering mail on 110, etc. So I won't dive too deep into this on the different ports. Don't worry too much about learning about the ports themselves by heart. If you keep doing CTFs, if you keep working with networks, at some point you'll get this very good idea about which port is which. And don't stress it too much if you don't remember all of this. It's fine. It's okay. You'll learn it. Now, finally, let's get to Nmap, which is the core of this thing. So Nmap is already installed on your machine. You don't need to install it yourself. So basically, an Nmap will allow you to find what ports are open on a host. And now to give you a couple of examples of scans that you can do, and I will give you my go-to scan whenever I'm attacking a new box or a new host. I usually run a specific scan that I like running, and that covers pretty much everything. And I'll show it to you whenever we do the practical aspects, which we'll go to right now. Let's switch to the practical aspects. Alright, so for question number 1, we need to run this script. So how do we run this script? Well, just make sure that you have started the machine and that you're connected to the VPN, which if you don't know how to do, I showed you how to do it in day 3 of the Advent of Cyber 3 by TryHackMe. So go here and you can just copy the command and then paste it in your terminal, and you can let it run if you want. However, I like adding the little -v at the end for verbosity, because then you see what's going on, and now you see that we found port 22 and port 80 already, so we know that there's port 80. So if, let's say that we were doing a very long scan, which isn't the case right now, but we could already go and explore this website basically, because 80 is for HTTP. So how many ports are open between 1 and 100? Well, 2, right? There was port 22 for SSH and port 80 for HTTP. You can see it here. And if we didn't do the -v, I'll let it run. It won't take too long. But basically, you'll see the output is just basically this, whatever I've highlighted. So you see that there's a starting and then there's a report. So yeah, as I said, there's only 2 ports open. So let's just enter 2 and confirm it. What is the smallest port number? Well, that's SSH, right? And because it's port 22 and that's smaller than 80, I don't need to teach you that. So what is the service related to the highest port you found in the first question? Well, the service is SSH, right? Oh, sorry, it's HTTP. I'm confused. So the highest port number we found, that's port 80. 80 is for HTTP. Now run this script. So what is SS? Well, if we go back here, this is a SYN scan, also known as a stealth scan. In the past, it was stealthy. However, nowadays it's not stealthy anymore. But basically what this does is, instead of the old 3-way handshake, which goes SYN, SYN, ACK, you do the SYN, the server replies with SYN, ACK, and then you don't do the final ACK, so you never really connect to it. You do reset, right? But you still have the information that the port is open because the server told you SYN, ACK, right? And it didn't say, nope, that there's nothing here. It said, yeah, there's something. So you just chose not to complete the connection. And that's why it's called a SYN scan, because you only do the SYN part of the connection, or a stealth scan because you never actually connect to it. Now, as I said, it's no longer really a stealth scan nowadays. Blue team tools can still pick up on that. But yeah. So let's do the same thing. And we should get the same, oops. Yeah, so we need to do sudo in order to run a stealth scan. And we should get the same answer. There we go. So yeah, again, we have the same results. Why did we have the same result? Well, so what we did first was ST, right, for a TCP connect scan. And in this case, what we did after that was a TCP SYN scan. So the only difference was that in the first one, with the ST, we fully connected to the port, well, to the service. And on the second part, we never fully connected because we sent a reset packet instead. So we should have the same answer because both of them were TCP scans, basically. Right, so if we want Nmap to detect the version info of the services installed, you can use nmap-sv. Yep, that's good. So SV is for version enumeration, basically. So let's do the scan. And then they want us to find the version number of the web server. Come on. All right. So I'm not really patient. So port 80 is our web server with HTTP, and we see that the version is this. What does he want exactly? Yeah, he wants everything. So Apache HTTPD 2.4.49. Boop. So if we look at the vulnerabilities related to the install web server, I'll just click here. We learned that there's a critical vulnerability that allows path traversal and remote code execution, which is very bad. And what is the CVE number of the vulnerability that was solved in version 2.4.51? So if we go here, so we see there's two different CVEs, right? So the 2.4.51 is a fix. Well, it fully fixes this one, but because this one wasn't fixed, a new CVE was created. So I'm not sure which one they want. So it was found that the fix for this first one, so 41,773, was not sufficient, and so that led to a new CVE. So I'll guess the new CVE of the fix that was not complete enough, that's what was fixed in 2.4.51, right? Yes, okay. So what's the logic behind this? Well, so in 2.4.49 and 2.4.50, there was an attempt to fix this CVE, right? But it wasn't fixed. So instead of putting the same CVE on the same problem, they made a new one, right? Because it was affecting a new version of the software. So that's why this vulnerability, even though it fixes this one technically, it still fixes this one, which is the remnants of this first vulnerability, right? So the new CVE is all about the remnants of the old CVE. So that's why this new version fixes the newest CVE. All right, so now we need to do all of the ports. So there's 65,535 TCP ports, and there's 65,535 UDP ports. And basically, when you do such a scan, right? So when you only do nmap-st, or for example -ss or -sc, and well, sc is for scripts, but like basically, if you don't provide the -p flag, by default, Nmap will scan the top 1,000 ports, and that's not like port 1 to 1,000. It's only the like 1,000 most popular ports, basically. So if you want to do a scan of all of the ports, you need to either do this, so -p1 65,535, which will basically scan all the ports in between, which is all the ports, or -p-. I like to do -p- because this scans all the ports, right? And then you can provide the IP address, and again, if you want verbosity, you can do -v. So of course, this is a bit of a longer scan, but it's fine, it's not too long. So while this is running, I'll actually open a new terminal tab and show you my personal favorite way to scan a new host. I do nmap -sc, that's for standard scripts, -sv for version enumeration. I do -p- to scan all the ports. I do -on, and that's basically going to be the normal output. So it's just a text file that will be generated with my scan results, and then I call it whatever, I'll call it scan results, for example, .text. And then you can do -v for verbosity, and then I provide the IP address. And that's how I like to run my first scan. If I need to do more specialized scan against a specific port, well, that's not in the scope of today's video, but I will run multiple Nmap scan depending on my needs. But this is the one that I usually do as a first scan, which I can actually run it right now, right? And you'll see that we could be able to answer all of the questions that were asked in this section, in this challenge, just using this Nmap scan. So I said that I will do some special scans depending on the ports and stuff. However, if you would like a video about Nmap and how I use it and how I used it for the OSCP, for example, well, make sure to leave a comment and let me know that you'd be interested in such a video. So, funnily enough, this scan here found the port before this scan did, which is interesting. So, thanks to verbosity, we didn't have to wait the whole 6 minutes to see this port open. So now what is the name of the program listing on the newly discovered port? Well, I'll save some time and I won't say, oh yeah, I'll just let the program run. No, I'll just cancel this scan. I'll let this one run so I can show you the output at the end. But I'll do nmap -p. I'll put the port that we found here. So it's only going to scan this port, and I'll do -sv. And then I'll provide the IP address. And then, so what does this do? Well, it won't scan all the ports. It will only scan this one and do a version enumeration on this port. So it should be super fast. And yeah, it was super fast. So we see that this is Linux Telnet base. Oops. What is the program? So it's going to be Telnet D. There you go. So if you'd like to learn more about the topics in today's task, we can recommend checking out the network security module. Thanks, TryHackMe. So just like that, I'll let the scan run and show you an output at the end. So when I stop talking. And yeah, so just like that, you start learning about Nmap. If you'd like a more in-depth video about Nmap, make sure to let me know in the comments below. I would like to make video about specific tools, but I won't do them unless there's some kind of interest. So let me know what you've like, if you learned something about this video, and let's go to the outro. Thank you guys so much for watching day 10 of the Advent of Cyber Tree by TryHackMe. So this challenge was a bit faster. Again, we were doing Nmap scans, which, as I said, is a tool that you need to learn. It's probably one of the few tools that you at least have a very good understanding of how it works, if you want to do pen testing, red teaming, or just networking in general. So as always, if I bring you value, consider subscribing to the channel. It always helps me a lot. And if you want to support me, the links are in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you tomorrow for day 11 of the Advent of Cyber Tree by TryHackMe.